someone explain to me, A, how it's possible that after all this time, nobody knew this? Because to me, if you're missing classified information, I don't mean to laugh, but in my house, if stuff is missing, I know it's missing.
Does it feel like Oppo research to you? Does it feel like the Republicans are behind it?
It feels like Republicans are behind it. His own lawyers turned it in. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it. Joe Biden is totally transparent and totally honest. And man, he is really handling this with alacrity. He is doing this quickly. He is doing this expeditiously. And also Republicans planted the document. Like, that's not how this works. The White House still has not answered why the discovery was not disclosed when it occurred, according to CNBC. So the appointment of the special counsel, the big danger for Biden here is that any special counsel has broad remit to actually investigate anything. Now, theoretically, the special counsel could do what Robert Mueller did and just keep digging and digging and digging and digging, because once you've appointed a special counsel, basically their raison d'etre, the reason for their existence, is so that they can keep digging and digging and digging and digging. Is that likely to happen here? Probably not. Probably this person will investigate the documents, declare that Joe Biden didn't do anything on purpose, and that's enough for them. That will require a changing of the reading of the statute, which is what our Attorney General seems to be in the habit of doing. It's what James Comey did with regard to Hillary Clinton, is when you don't want to prosecute somebody, you just read intent into the law, because here is the problem. When it comes to unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents or material, that's a strict liability crime under the law. Under 18 U.S. Code 1924, quote, whoever, being an officer, employee, contractor, or consultant of the United States, and by virtue of his office, employment, position, or contract, becomes possessed of documents or materials containing classified information of the United States, knowingly removes such documents or materials without authority and with the intent to retain such documents or materials at an unauthorized location, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. For purposes of this section, the provision of documents and materials to Congress don't constitute an offense. I mean, clearly he has violated this law, correct? He was an officer of the United States. He was vice president of the United States. And in the waning days of the Obama administration, he shipped himself these documents. And apparently he knew about it because they were in one case, an actual separate manila folder that said on it private. So obviously he knew. So that is a violation of statute. What is likely to happen is they will read intent back into the statute. But as Andrew McCarthy points out, by the law, Biden's already guilty. Quote, in announcing Her's appointment, Biden Attorney General Merrick Garland laid out the facts of the case that drove him to the decision. Biden, while he was a private citizen, after the conclusion of his term as VP, retained batches of classified information in unauthorized locations. That is enough evidence of a federal penal offense to warrant a criminal investigation and potential prosecution. The reaction to the special counsel appointment by Richard Sauber, the lawyer Biden brought into the White House to help deal with the investigations, was remarkable. He said the president was confident the special counsel investigation would find the documents in question were, quote, inadvertently misplaced. But that's not a defense to the charge of mishandling classified information. It's tantamount to an admission of guilt. For conviction, federal law requires prosecutors to establish that the defendant was grossly negligent. There's no need to prove that an accused was trying to harm the United States, just that he was trusted with classified information and carelessly flouted the standards for safeguarding it. So it appears that Biden isn't challenging the documents were classified, which is what Trump did, right? Trump said, these are all declassified. I'm the president. I can wave my hand and now they're declassified. Poof, right? He was, in fact, the president. Joe Biden was not. Joe Biden didn't even have that power. But Biden is not challenging the documents were classified, that the locations in which he kept them were not authorized, and that he didn't keep track of them. So all of the elements of the offense have already been established. We'll get to more in just 1 second. First, bad news for you here on a Friday. I know you're going to have a relaxing weekend, but let me just remind you, we're all going to die. And that means you need life insurance as a responsible human. We all hope that we'll never need life insurance, but the reality is that since death is inevitable like taxes, this means that the earlier you get life insurance, the smarter you are. If you have a family like I do, you already have plenty of things to worry about. A good life insurance plan can give you that extra peace of mind that your family will always be taken care of. Life insurance through your workplace might not offer enough protection for your family needs. It's not going to follow you if you leave your job. Since life insurance typically gets more expensive as we age, now would be the time to buy. Policy Genius gives you a smarter way to find and buy the right coverage for you and your family. Policy Genius was built to modernize the life insurance industry. Their technology makes it easy to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and find your lowest price. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $17 per month for $500,000 in coverage. Policy Genius's licensed agents can help you find coverage options in as little as a week. There are no added fees. Your personal information is private. No wonder they have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot. Your loved ones deserve a financial safety net, and you deserve a smarter way to find and buy it. Head on over to policygenius.com/Shapiro. Click the link in the description. Get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save today. That's policygenius.com/Shapiro to get started. Again, policygenius.com/Shapiro. Also, we have a brand new puppy. We have a baby on the way. That means not a lot of sleep in my future, and that means I need Black Rifle Coffee. I rely on them every single morning. Black Rifle Coffee Company is on a mission to build a support network for veterans, first responders, and law enforcement by serving you the best coffee you've ever had. Thanks to your support, that dream is already becoming a reality. This year alone, Black Rifle Coffee donated over 120,000 bags of coffee to veterans and first responders while expanding their own team of active duty service members, veterans, and veteran family members. If you want to continue supporting this amazing company, head on over to blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code Shapiro at checkout for 10% off your purchase and your first coffee club order. Again, I rely on Black Rifle Coffee to get me through the day pretty much every day, multiple times a day. Black Rifle Coffee is roasted by a veteran-led team of brilliant coffee graders here in the United States. The coffee is truly one of a kind, but it's your support that gets gear, funding, and supplies into the hands of people who are on the front lines right now. Head on over to blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code Shapiro for 10% off. You can also find Black Rifle Coffee in grocery and convenience stores near you. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. So Andy McCarthy says, no doubt, because sufficiency of the evidence is only one of the two questions prosecutors must ask before charging someone with a crime. The second question is whether, even if the person is guilty, an indictment is in the public interest. It appears Biden's approach will be to avoid discussing the slam dunk evidence and spin the equities of prosecutorial discretion to his advantage. He'll say the number of documents was comparatively small, that he self-reported the violation as soon as it was discovered, that he immediately turned the documents over to the National Archives, and that he cooperated fully with the investigation. The subtext, of course, will be that he compares favorably to former President Donald Trump's conduct. But the subtext doesn't change the fact that Biden is apparently guilty of basically the same offense as Trump. So, again, the real precedent here is Hillary Clinton, which is that Hillary Clinton, as I've said all along, the real standard when it comes to mishandling classified info is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton did mishandle classified info. James Comey then reread the law to turn a strict liability crime into an intent crime. When he did that, he basically exonerated Trump and exonerated Biden. If that's the reading of the law, everybody gets away with it. Now, I understand why this exacerbates feelings from the American people that everybody is full of crap. Because the reality is, if it was you, if you were found with classified documents in your garage next to your throwback Corvette, you would be prosecuted. You would, because you're not a famous rich person who's in politics. That's the way this would work. And this is one of the reasons why you have these populist revolts that are on hand pretty much constantly now. Well, meanwhile, the Democrats are moving to defend Joe Biden. No shock there. Hakeem Jeffries, the incoming House Minority Leader, he says that he has full faith and credit in Joe Biden, which is weird. I didn't realize that he had credit in Joe Biden as well. Like, what? Okay, here we go.
We've learned the president was informed of the initial classified documents on the same day they were found more than 2 months ago. Are you concerned the White House didn't disclose this sooner?
I have full faith and credit in President Biden.
What?
Believe that he's doing everything to take the appropriate steps to determine what happened and how to move forward in a responsible fashion. And I'm confident that he will continue to do so.
My favorite thing about politician talk is when they start lying, they start moving their hands a lot. I mean, I have full faith and credit in the president of the United States. By the way, full faith and credit does not mean what you think it means. If we're going to talk about, every time people make gaffes in American public life, we say that they are foolish. Full faith and credit is a reference to Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution of the United States, and it talks about how states have to give full faith and credit to acts of other states across boundaries, for example. And so, yeah, he's just misusing the language there, but they trust Joe Biden. They trust him. Why? Because he's a trustworthy guy. All of which comes back to the bottom line here. When it comes to political prosecution in the United States, all too often what seems to be happening is that our methods of law enforcement go after the person, not after the crime. If they were going after the crime, Hakeem Jeffries' level of trust in Joe Biden versus Donald Trump would be completely irrelevant. And so would Merrick Garland's. It would just be about who actually committed a crime. But we don't do that anymore. Ayanna Pressley, one of the most progressive members of the House of Representatives from Massachusetts, she says that Joe Biden, this is a man of integrity. He is full of integrity. Well, he's certainly full of something.
Are you concerned about the way that President Biden has handled classified documents?
Well, I'm learning about this in real time, just like you are, so I don't have any unique insights. But what I would say is that the president has been moving with cooperation, moving proactively, moving with integrity, which is more than I can say for the twice impeached former occupant, Donald Trump.
Oh, so we're just going to completely rewrite the actual issue here. Again, the issue is, did you mishandle classified information? If you want to try to charge Donald Trump with obstruction, that's a completely different crime. But if you're talking about the classified information stuff, Joe Biden did the exact same thing as Donald Trump, period. He took classified documents to his home, and he left them there in far less secure circumstances than actually Donald Trump, as it turns out. All of which has prompted the more radical members of the Democrat left coalition to suggest conspiracy theorizing, which was fun. Remember that time that Donald Trump suggested that the documents might have been planted at Mar-a-Lago, and everybody laughed at him because it was silly, because it is silly? Well, now the left is doing the exact same thing with regard to Joe Biden. So you have the morons over at The View, combined IQ 7, suggesting that Republicans maybe planted the documents. Right, that's how they were going to get him, gang. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be getting into how Stanford cracked down on a professor who is speaking the truth about COVID, plus a couple of former Republicans who have declared they will not be Republicans any longer. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.